The scent of jasmine hung heavy in the air, a dense and oppressive aroma. It mingled with the metallic tang of sweat and damp earth, creating an atmosphere that was both strange and unsettling. The white flowers, now withered, clung to the edge of the grave with a sickly tenacity, as if they sensed something terrible was about to happen. A distant whisper snaked through the dry leaves of the cemetery, an unintelligible murmur that seemed to originate from the depths of the earth. The moon, a pale sliver in the night sky, cast long, distorted shadows over the gravestones, dancing with the breeze like restless spirits. In the midst of this sepulchral scene, a figure moved slowly towards an imposing mausoleum, its face hidden by the darkness. In its hands, an ancient key, cold to the touch, glimmered with an eerie light under the faint moon. Every step it took echoed in the graveyard silence, like the reverberation of a latent threat. Who would dare to disturb eternal sleep under the watchful gaze of the moon? The Grand Palais stood like a giant of crystal and marble, its muted lights casting the atmosphere in a spectral gold. The scent of perfume and sweat blended into an olfactory symphony that permeated the hall. Through the hum of conversations and nervous laughter, the waltz floated like a melancholy phantom. Every accelerated note beat with force, mirroring the frenetic rhythm of his thoughts. Among the sea of pale faces and bright eyes, searching for themselves in the darkness, he sought his beloved. He clung to the hope of seeing her among the figures that whirled like puppets under the dim light. Each visual encounter only a brief illusion. His memories, fragmented like broken mirrors, blended with the rhythm of the waltz, the softness of her caresses, the tenderness of her words whispered in his ear, transformed into distant echoes that resonated with pain in his chest. The waltz accelerated, the music intensified, a reflection of the oppressive energy emanating from the city itself. Paris, that city of lights, now seemed to be sinking into an eternal night. A veil of sadness covered every corner, every face reflected an abyss of unease. A detail caught his attention. A stopped clock on the tablecloth of a nearby group, its hands paralyzed as if time had refused to move forward. It was a cruel metaphor, a foreshadowing of the destiny that awaited him. On the edge of the stage, a bouquet of wilted flowers rested in an empty vase, their beauty already faded, cruelly reminding him of life's fragility. A foreboding feeling washed over him, a sense of inevitable loss, as if the universe were preparing for a final act. The music of the waltz reached its climax. Each note resonated powerfully in his ears, reflecting the emotional storm consuming him. The waltz continued, Paris sinking into an eternal night. His heart beat with the force of a drum, keeping time to the frenzied rhythm that flooded the ballroom. Every note seemed to pierce his chest, amplifying the whirlwind of emotions within him. The movements of the other dancers blurred around him. His gaze was fixed solely on her. The sweet, intoxicating scent of her perfume made her presence tangible despite the distance separating them. It was a dance with ghosts, a tango between desire and melancholy, each step a whisper of the unrequited love that tormented him. His eyes searched the crowd, sifting through the floating silhouettes for her face, her smile, any sign of recognition that never came. His hands, nervous and restless, moved clumsily over his partner's bodice, unable to find solace in the cold, distant arms of a stranger. The music intensified, grew darker, more frantic, pushing him into a spiral of uncontrolled passion. He clung to each note like a lifeline, battling the growing sensation of emptiness that threatened to consume him. His eyes searched relentlessly, sighing with every fleeting movement of his beloved. An intense gaze, filled with longing and desperation, met his for a brief instant. A spark of hope, like a faint flame in the darkness, gave him one last breath of life. Then, the music changed. The joyful notes faded, giving way to a slow, menacing rhythm that crept through the room like a cold shadow. Sepulchral silence descended upon the place, broken only by the protagonist's racing heartbeat and the distant sound of violins now playing a somber tune. At the far end of the room, amongst the blurred figures dancing in the dim light, a dark silhouette emerged. A figure that slowly approached him, like a harbinger of something terrible. The protagonist's heart lurched in his chest, his gaze fixed on the shadow consuming him. A knot formed in his throat, preventing him from breathing. The music took on an ominous tone, a funeral dirge announcing the end of his illusion. In that instant, he understood. There was no escape. He woke to the echo of the last waltz melody, like a ghost in his heart. A melancholic whisper clinging to the walls of his soul as the music faded into silence. Their gazes now held uncertainty and pain, a silent dance between two souls searching for answers they couldn't find in words. The freshly brewed coffee cooled in their cups, its bitter aroma a contrast to the sweet perfume of newly cut flowers that filled the air, creating a strange atmosphere, at once welcoming and distant. Daniel's fingers moved with deliberate slowness, seeking the warmth of Sophia's hands. She placed her hands over his, as if seeking solace in the simple act. Her palms were warm and soft, a beacon amidst the storm surrounding them. In the reflection of her eyes, the features of each face blurred, hazy through the thin film of tears that gathered at their corners. A complicit silence stretched between them like a heavy blanket. Daniel tried to find words to express what he felt, but only guttural sounds escaped him, trapped in an invisible knot in his throat. Sophia looked at him with deep sadness in her eyes, as if she could read the whirlwind of emotions raging within him. The scent of coffee and flowers grew stronger, a cruel reminder of life's fleeting beauty. The music had ended. A deeper, more penetrating silence settled upon them, a shroud of sadness enveloping them completely. Daniel felt the air escaping him, words evaporating in his mouth, unable to take shape. Sophia's hands were still intertwined with his, but the connection that once existed had broken, as if an invisible barrier had separated them. The silence, now more than ever, was an infinite abyss, a reflection of the distance that had opened between them. Every step Daniel took towards Sophia felt like a burden on his soul. Melancholy enveloped him like the Parisian twilight, staining the streets with elongated shadows and dim lights that seemed to fade as quickly as his hopes. The sweet scent of the Seine mingled with the floral perfume that always reminded him of Sophia. A fleeting memory struggling to cling to his recollection as the waltz blurred in the distance. Sophia watched him with a gaze full of understanding and sadness. Her eyes appeared to be two dark wells reflecting the same doubts and fears that tormented Daniel. Her face, illuminated by the dim light of the cafe, was a canvas portraying the ephemeral beauty of their love, a love that seemed to vanish with every beat of his heart. He extended his hands towards her, seeking solace in the familiarity of her touch. His fingers, soft as silk, intertwined with Sophia's, transmitting a current of warmth that attempted to counteract the chill within him. Every gesture, every knowing glance was a silent whisper of the past, a remembrance of happy moments that now seemed irretrievably lost. The waltz continued its melancholic melody, an ode to the fleeting beauty of love and the inevitability of pain. The streets of Paris gradually faded like a blurred landscape in the background of his world. The dim lights of the street lamps seemed to extinguish one by one, plunging them into a deep darkness that mirrored the sadness consuming them. Only music accompanied them in their mournful dance, a silent lament rising above the slumbering city. The coffee around them grew cold, and the sweet scent of the Seine faded slowly, leaving only the bitter taste of memory and the inevitability of goodbye. The last waltz enveloped them in silence, a sad melody resonating in their hearts. The lights dimmed gradually, plunging them into darkness as if Paris itself were weeping for their lost love.